This is the TeamLazyTown iteration 2 screencast to show how we're utilizing test-driven development in each of our iterations. So today we're going to be focusing on um, cities producing a unit if they've reached the required amount of production to produce the unit that they're producing. So one of the helper functions related to this task is return production value. And this function just returns the cost to produce each unit. So basically it takes one argument, which is the unit type, like basically just the type of unit that the city produces. So it's going to take that string and then return the associated price to produce that unit. So to test this, we can use test-driven development. So we're going to go over here and write a test. And then we will do correct production value returned. So to start this, we need it to return something that's always going to be true. So let's say go back to the implementation. Game dot. So this is just an integer to hold that production value that's returned by the function. So do game dot return production value. We'll do right now, take any argument, so we'll just do that. So we need to assert that game, or let me have that set. Assert that this production value is 10. So the first step of test-driven development is that it returns a constant. There's not really any logic involved. So we'll say that it returns 10, and we'll make sure that the test is passed. Okay, and then you can see that we passed the test. No problem. Okay, so then we have to make a change to add some implementation to this. We can add this first part here with the rest commented out. If the unit type equals Archer, returns 10. So we add that implementation. It takes the Archer value. Now it should return those. So say the type is now Legion. So we know that this one's expected to fail because it doesn't have that implementation yet, and it does. We can assert that this is going to be 0 because we don't have the implementation for the Legion yet. We can see that this test passed. So if we want to add the rest of the logic to account for any type, any unit type, over here, insert that for an Archer, the production value is going to be 10. And see the rest. Check the cost of the Legion. 15. So go ahead and run that test. And you can see that the test again passed. So just to show where this function plays a larger role, It was good to use test-driven development to test that, just to show that that consistently returns the correct production value. It's a very easy example of how test-driven development's used, nothing too complicated. So this function is actually used in the check if production function. This function initiates production if the city has sufficient funds to produce a unit. So basically what this function does is it iterates through all of the existing cities, checks their treasury values, and if their treasury value is at the correct threshold, it then finds the next open position that a unit can be placed at, and then it creates a unit, adds it to the unit hash maps, and then decrements the city treasury. So the return production value is right here, returns the correct production value um, based on what unit the city produces, and then sees if that threshold is met by the city's treasury. So yeah, this function also uses the return next open position function, which is down here. This basically satisfies the rule that a city produces a unit at the tile that it's on, but if that's already occupied by a unit, then it checks all adjacent sides to see where it's able to place the unit, and basically does this until an empty spot or a viable spot for a unit is able to be placed. So we have a few tests for those. If you go up here, cities produce units. Run this test. Yep. So basically, all tests relating to production pass, and it started with using test-driven development to test the simple return production value function. So yeah, that is how we implemented cities producing units, the correct type of unit at the correct position, using test-driven development.